Welcome to 2024 college football. You might be wondering, why is he saying 2024 college football? Well, I've decided to make all of the conference changes early, including the Big Ten with USC and UCLA, the SEC adding Texas and Oklahoma, the Pac 12 moving down to just 10 teams as they lost UCLA and USC to the Big Ten, a big shakeup in the Big 12 as they lose Texas and Oklahoma, but then they gain BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston. And then obviously with Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston leaving for the Big 12, that means the American Conference is looking a bit different with those three teams gone. And of course, the best change to college football in 2024, they will be starting the 12-team playoff. So we're going to sim a full season with these conferences, and then we will take the 12 best teams at the end of the season, throw them in a 12-team playoff bracket, and see who's going to be the national champion. And of course, we will be checking in on the teams that just joined new conferences halfway through the season and at the end of the season to see if they've gotten better joining conferences or if they're going to struggle when they join them. Here we are midway through the season. Let's check out what these new teams are doing in their conferences. It looks like in the Big Ten, USC is fourth in the Big Ten, but they are actually number 5 in the nation. And then we have UCLA, who's struggling a bit, 3-3, 1-2 in the conference. So those are the two new teams in the Big Ten, and that's how they're doing right now. Over in the Big 12, where there's a lot of shakeup, it looks like Houston is doing the best out of the new teams. They're 4-1, 3-0 in the conference, 16th in the nation. And then we have UCF doing the next best, 4-2, 2-2 in the conference. And then we got BYU 2-3, 1-2 in the conference. And then Cincinnati struggling. They're 2-4, 1-4 in the conference. Over in the Pac-12 that only has 10 teams now, it looks like Arizona State is amongst the top teams in that conference with USC and UCLA out of town. And then over in the SEC, where Oklahoma and Texas are now in there, Oklahoma is 6-0, 5-0 in the conference, number 3 team in the nation, right behind another SEC team, Georgia. They're 6-0, number 2 in the nation. And then you have to keep scrolling all the way down to 11th in the SEC, 3-2, 1-2 in the conference, and you'll find Texas not doing very good down there. But there's still a lot of ways to go in this season. Let's sim to the end of the season and find out what they finished at and who's going to be in the 12-team playoff. Here we are at the very end of the season, and USC ended up finishing second in record, but they didn't make it to the Big Ten championship. It was Michigan and Minnesota in the Big Ten championship, and Minnesota actually won the Big Ten championship, but USC did finish fourth in the nation, so they will be making to the 12-team playoffs. But as for UCLA, they went 7-5, 5-4 in the conference, and they struggled all year. Mediocre year at best, and they will be missing out on the 12-team playoff. As for the Big 12, not much changed. It was actually Kansas State and TCU in the Big 12 championship, just like in real life, but TCU ended up winning it, so they got a guaranteed spot in the 12-team playoff. As for the new teams that joined, BYU was the best at 7-5, 5-4 in the conference, and then Houston went 6-6, 5-4 in the conference. UCF went 7-5, 4-5 in the conference. They're about where I expected. They're going to start out as a lower to middle of the pack teams, and hopefully being in the Big 12 will get them some better recruits and they can climb to the top. And then Cincinnati, at the worst out of the 4 teams that just joined, they went 7-5, 4-5 in the conference. No surprise over in the SEC, as Georgia went 13-0 and won the conference. But the surprise that there is Oklahoma went 10-3, made the SEC championship, and lost to Georgia. But they are ranked 13th, so they might be just outside of the 12-team playoff, which isn't going to be good. And Texas actually made a run at the championship in the SEC, but came up a little bit short. But they are ranked 9th, so they might make it in depending on the automatic bids. If 4 teams can hop them by getting automatic bids, you never know. But they are 9-3, 6-3 in the conference, ranked 9th in the nation. And then over in the Pac-12, it looks like Washington won the conference as they went 11-1, and they ended up beating Utah in the conference championship, and they're ranked number 3 in the nation. Utah's number 8, so it looks like those teams will probably make the 12-team playoff. Here are the final rankings for the college football playoff. Let me explain to you how the 12-team playoff is going to work when it's implemented into college football. The 12-team format will feature, in order, the top 4 conference champions, followed by some combination of the top 6 at-large bids and the 2 highest ranked remaining conference champions. So I found out what all of that is, and I created the 12-man bracket, and here is what it looks like. We have 1 seed Georgia, 2 seed Miami because they won the ACC, 3 seed Washington because they won the Pac-12, 4 seed Minnesota because they won the Big Ten, and then USC at large, Michigan at large, North Carolina at large, Utah at large, Texas at large, Kansas State at large, and the SMU won the American Conference, and then TCU won the Big 12. So they got an automatic bid. Let's hop into this thing. We're going to simulate these games and see who's going to win the national championship. Here we are in the first matchup of the 12-team playoff. The home team will be the higher seed in this first round, as Utah will be hosting Texas in our first game, and the winner will be taking on Georgia in the next round. At the half, Utah's defending their home field. They're up 17-14. It's a close one. This one should be good at the end. Utah ended up winning this one 31-21 as they scored 2 touchdowns in the second half, and Texas could only manage 1. So Utah will be heading on to the next round to take on Georgia. USC, a part of the Big Ten now, is hosting their first ever playoff game against TCU, who's going to win and take on Minnesota in the next round. Let's find out. TCU was up 20-0 early, but USC has managed to cut the lead down to 10 right before the half. Can USC bring it all the way back, or can TCU hold them off? It looks like TCU is going to be able to hold off USC's comeback, as they're going to win 33-17 over USC as they're slinging the ball downfield and it gets knocked down. TCU will be advancing to take on Minnesota in the next round. Here we go. Third matchup of the first round, and it is SMU taking on Michigan at the Big House. Whoever wins this game will be taking on Washington in the final 8 teams. Let's see who it's going to be. Michigan is absolutely dominating this game at the half, 28-7 over SMU. This is one of the things that I don't like about the 12-team playoff and how the rules are going to be, is that one of the group of 5 champions has to make the playoffs, and I just fear it's going to be like this in one of those games, and just going to be a blowout for one of those teams to get a free win to advance. But let's see what's going to happen in the second half. You never know. Yup, just more of the same in the second half as Michigan demolishes SMU 49-14. This is one of the things that I think they will change in the 12-team playoffs. I don't think they'll keep the group of 5 champion very long, but it is what it is. Michigan wins, and they'll be taking on Washington. Here we go. Last matchup of the first round. Kansas State taking on North Carolina in North Carolina, and the winner of this game will go on to face the 2 seed Mario Cristobal turned around Miami Hurricanes. Let's see who it's going to be. Not much offense in the first half, but Kansas State has built a 10-point lead heading into the half. North Carolina's got to find a way to get on the scoreboard in the second half. North Carolina with a 4th and goal down 17-7. They need a touchdown on this play, and then they need an onside kick. Can they get the touchdown? And no, they're not going to get the touchdown. Kansas State gets a stop, and they will win this one, and they're taking on Miami in the next round. Here's what the bracket is looking like with 8 teams left. And for the 12-team playoffs, the quarterfinals will be 4 different bowls: the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl in 2024 and 2025 season when they start this thing. So we will be playing these 4 games at those 4 bowls, and then we will have the Fiesta Bowl and Peach Bowl for the semifinals, and then, of course, the College Football Playoff National Championship. The first matchup of the final 8 teams is going to be in the Cotton Bowl with Utah and Georgia, who's going to come out on top and secure the first spot in the Final Four. At the half, Georgia's got the 10-point lead over Utah, 17-7. It looks like Georgia will be heading back to the Final Four as they dominate Utah 31-14 in this Cotton Bowl, and they will be heading on to the Final Four to take on the winner of this next matchup. Somehow, after an incredible regular season, Minnesota has found themselves in the Elite 8 of this 12-team playoff, and we are in the Orange Bowl, and they're taking on the TCU Horned Frogs, who is going to win and take on Georgia. We're at the half, and Minnesota has yet to score a point as they're down 14 at the half. Did they just have a lucky regular season run, or can they come back and get the dub? Minnesota, after their Cinderella run in the regular season, gets absolutely demolished by TCU 28-0. They didn't even put up a point, as TCU will be taking on Georgia, which we know what happened last time. Maybe they can have a miracle and win that one. Here we are in Pasadena, California for the Rose Bowl, and what's cool about this matchup is it's a traditional Rose Bowl matchup. Pac-12 versus Big Ten, Washington versus Michigan, trying to secure a spot in the Final Four. Who's it going to be? Michigan is dominating this game at half, 28-7. Is Washington going to try to come back, or are they just going to lay down? Washington tried to come back for a little bit, but it wasn't even nearly enough, as they're going to lose 49-21 to Michigan, and Michigan will advance to the Final Four as they just picked up a big run and they might score again. This Final Four is looking kind of familiar. Here we are at the All-State Sugar Bowl, the final game of the quarterfinals in this 12-team playoff, and it's 2 teams that have never made a college football playoff, Kansas State and Miami, who's going to make it to the Final Four and take on Michigan. Kansas State leads 17-7 over Miami heading into the half. It's not looking good for Miami. Could they come back, or is it going to be Kansas State advancing? This kind of looks like the Minnesota season. Miami had a good run in the regular season, getting to the college football playoff and getting a bye, and getting absolutely destroyed by a better team in Kansas State, 38-15, and Kansas State will be advancing to take on Michigan. There's only 4 teams left, and we've seen this matchup before. Is it going to be a different outcome, or is it going to be the same as the national championship that just happened? Let's find out. Georgia versus TCU. Who's going to secure the first spot in the national championship? TCU is still in the game at the half, as they only trail Georgia by 4 points. Can they come back, or is Georgia going to hold on? This has been a back and forth second half, but TCU has a 4th and 10, the ball game on the line, down 4. They need to pick this up. Drops back to pass. He finds an open man, but he's not going to get to the first down, as they were so close to beating Georgia, and they come up just short, and Georgia will be going to a national championship once again. 2 teams that have never been to a college football national championship. Kansas State and Michigan. Who is going to make it and take on Georgia? Let's find out the winner of the Fiesta Bowl right now. We've got another close semifinal game as Kansas State leads 10-7 over Michigan at the half. There's 53 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Kansas State's up 6. Michigan needs a stop on this third down, and it looks like it's going to be 4th and inches. Kansas State's got a huge decision to make, and it looks like the offense is on the field trying to seal this thing. Michigan needs a stop to get a chance. Kansas State needs a first down to end it, and that's exactly what they're going to get. Kansas State is going to upset Michigan, and they're heading to their first ever college football playoff national championship to take on Georgia. Is this going to be the matchup on January 20th, 2025 for the national championship? You never know. It's possible, but definitely not probable. But we are here today. Kansas State taking on Georgia in the 2024-2025 national championship. Let's see who's going to take it. After one quarter, Georgia already leads 14-0. Kansas State's got to step up, or this might be a blowout. This is looking like the national championship this year in real life. Georgia's already up 27-0 at the half. Kansas State wins the third quarter 3-0. Now they only trail by 24 heading into the final quarter. Georgia's defense shut the door in the fourth quarter, not letting Kansas State pick up one touchdown in the whole entire game. Georgia's going to win 27-3, and your Kansas State ended up picking up a touchdown late in that game. But Georgia is your 2024-2025 national champions. The dynasty continues. They win 27-9. I hope you guys did enjoy this idea of a video, checking out the new conferences, and of course, having another 12-team college football playoff bracket. Like and subscribe. We are on our way to 5,000 subscribers. Hopefully we can hit it somewhat soon. Peace.